Hello there, Michelle Short here and welcome to another Hero Arts video. Today I'm creating backgrounds using the Watercolor dot palette. I'm going to be creating one more on the feminine side and one more on the masculine side. So I'm starting off with the Wallpaper Pattern Bold Prints stamp. Just adding that into my Misty tool, and I've got a piece of watercolor paper there and I'm going to stamp down to create a background. So I'm going to ink up my stamp using Versamark ink. I'm being very liberal with this. This is a clear sticky ink, really good for embossing. So making sure that's really well inked up. It's a large stamp. And then I can stamp that down. And I did use an anti-static tool on that beforehand. I just missed it off camera. I'm now going to add onto that ultra fine clear embossing powder. So just sprinkling that all over the panel, and then I can tap off the excess. I'm doing that over a coffee filter. I find it easy just to add it back into the jar. And this one here for the more feminine card, this is the Butterfly Pattern Bold Prints. And I'm just going to do the exact same thing, ink it up with the Versamark ink and then stamp that down. And then once I've stamped that down, I can then apply the clear embossing powder like I did with the other one. And then I'm going to heat set both of those panels, and I find adding the cardstock onto a wooden board, a heat resistant wooden board, helps sometimes with a little bit of the warping that you can get with the heat tool. And then this here is the Watercolor dot palette that you can purchase from Hero Arts, and it's made by Daniel Smith and using the Hero Arts kind of colour palette, which is really nice. I believe they were originally made to use for samples so that you can see which colour you like, and then you can purchase the actual, the actual whole watercolour tube or whatever. But what's really great is for card makers, we just don't really need that much watercolor, and you can get quite a lot of different cards made out of just that one little palette, which is great. So I've added my two panels onto a board with some masking tape, and I'm just liberally applying some water onto the first panel here. This is going to be my more masculine card, and then I'm going to start off with the ultramarine turquoise, and I'm just adding that onto the paper. As you can see, I'm really not being very precise here where I'm adding it in. I'm then going in with the cobalt blue, just adding more dots of that in. And what helps with the water adding it beforehand, it kind of helps with the blending of it afterwards. So here I'm going in with a wet brush and I'm just blending that together. Being quite liberal with the water here. I'm going for more of a lighter kind of wash colour, but if you wanted to add like more of a bold colour, you can definitely add more layers. So I'm just going in with a second layer here just because I wanted a little bit more contrast between the two colours. Going in with that cobalt blue again. Really pretty colours together actually. And adding that in, and then I'm going to leave that to dry. And then next I'm going to work on the more feminine type panel, and I'm going to do the same thing using a large paintbrush. I'm just going to add a layer of water onto the cardstock. And then using that dot palette, I'm first going to go in with the quinacridone pink, which is my lightest colour. And at this point I wasn't 100% sure how I was going to add the colour onto this, and I decided to go with slight ombre pattern, or ombre colours I should say. So the middle colour is the quinacridone fuchsia, so I'm just adding that in, and the bottom colour is the quinacridone purple. And again, I think these work really well together. And because I don't want any harsh lines where the colours meet, I'm just going in with some water, clean water, and I'm just kind of muddling those lines together. Again, I'm not being particularly neat with this, but I find that if you let these panels air dry, the colours kind of blend together quite nicely. So I've left that aside to dry, and I'm now going to work on the sentiment pieces. So this is the Happy die from the Happy Stamp and Cut set. I'm just running that through my die cutting machine with some Midnight layering paper. And I'm going to run that through 3 times, and then I'm going to stack them together. And then this is the Hello from the Hello Stamp and Cut, and I'm using some snow layering paper with this one. And I just wanted to show you that if you get the die cut stuck in the die, you can get a bit of low tack tape and then you can peel that up, and it works really well to get those little intricate dies out of the die. I've cut my watercolour panels down with the rectangle infinity dies, and I'm going to add them onto some white card bases, and I'm going to add some fun foam in the middle just to give a little bit of dimension. So I'm quite liberal with my tape and my adhesive, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I just added quite a big layer in between on the two sides and then added them onto the top folding card bases. So for the more feminine card, I'm using a 4-bar size card, and I'm just going to add dabs of glue onto the back of the Hello die cut. And then I can stick that down. And then I've got the purple ombre sequins here, and I'm just going to add a few onto the card. It's going to be a really simple card. I thought it would just be quite nice to send someone just to say hello, or add in with a little happy mail or something like that. Just a cute little card. So I'm just sticking that down with some multi-medium matte. And I find that tweezers help with placing sequins down as well. So that's that feminine card finished. I really like that butterfly background. And here, this is the masculine type card, and I'm just sticking down that happy die cut. And this card size is an A2 top folding card. Just placing that down, and then I've stamped out the birthday portion of the sentiment, again from the same happy stamp and cut set. Just cutting that down with some scissors, and then I'm going to add some foam tape onto the back to stick that down to the card. And then I can just finish off that card with a few clear droplets. So that's the cards finished for today. As you can see, I've kept them very simple, but I really like how that watercolour looks for the washes on the background with the Emboss Resist. Links to the products will be over on the Hero Arts blog. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.